Hello and welcome. In this video I'm gonna show you an example of finding limit at infinity and an application of derivative. A rumor spreads according to the following equation. R of t is 1 over 1 plus c e to the negative kt, where r is the proportion of population that has heard the rumor, t is the time, and c and k are positive constants. So in the given function, the variable is t and c and k are constant. Find the limit of r of t when t approaches infinity and interpret it. So we want to find limit of 1 over 1 plus c e to the power of negative kt when t approaches infinity. Let me remind you the graph of the function y equals e to the x. The graph of function e to the x is something like this. And as you can see, when x approaches negative infinity, if we go far to the left, the graph of e to the x gradually approaches to the x-axis. The distance between e to the x and the x-axis gradually approaches 0. So from the graph of e to the x, we can see that the limit of e to the x when x approaches negative infinity is 0. When the exponent of the exponential function goes to negative infinity, the limit of the exponential function is 0. Now look at this question. We want to find limit of 1 over 1 plus c e to the negative kt when t approaches infinity. When t approaches infinity, the exponent of the exponential function, the expression negative kt, this expression, when t goes to infinity, this exponent approaches negative infinity. Attention, k is a positive constant. K times t when t goes to infinity approaches infinity. But we have a negative. So negative kt approaches negative infinity. And from here, we know that the limit of the exponential function when the exponent goes to negative infinity is 0. So this limit equals to 1 over 1 plus c times 0, because the limit of this when t goes to infinity is 0. C times 0, c is a constant, times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. So this limit equals 1. And now we want to interpret this limit. What it means that the limit of r of t when t approaches infinity is 1. This means that in the long run, all the population have heard the rumor. Attention, r of t is the proportion of population that has heard the rumor. We got the limit equals 1. This means that in the long run, everyone in the population has heard the rumor. Because when the proportion is 1, it means that all the population has heard the rumor, which makes sense. At least from this model, we can conclude this. In the second part of the question, we want to find the rate of spread of the rumor. Whenever we want to find the rate of change of any function, we have to take derivative. Here we want to find the rate of spread of rumor actually with respect to time. So we have to take derivative of r, which is the rate of the spread of the rumor function. We have to take derivative of that with respect to time to find the rate of spread. So r of t is 1 over 1 plus c e to the negative kt. To find the rate of spread, we have to find r prime of t, or dr over dt. Here we have a fraction, we have a quotient, so we use quotient rule to find the derivative of this. Let me remind you the quotient rule. When we have f over g, derivative is f prime, derivative of numerator, times by g minus the numerator function times by derivative of denominator all over denominator to the 2. So r prime equals to derivative of numerator, derivative of constant 1 is 0. 0 times denominator is 0. Let's write a 0 minus, write the numerator function which is 1 times by derivative of denominator. Derivative of 1 is 0. But what is derivative of c e to the negative kt? For finding derivative of this, attention, c is a constant. Write the constant. You don't need to use any product rule for finding this derivative. Write the coefficient, write the constant c, and take derivative of the exponential function. Derivative of e to the negative kt is e to the negative kt. Derivative of the exponential function e to the x is e to the x. Derivative of e to the negative kt is e to the negative kt times by derivative of the exponent. Don't forget, here you have to use the chain rule. Derivative of negative kt is negative k. K is a constant, t is the variable, so derivative of negative kt is negative k times 1, so negative k. And if you want, you can write this as negative ck e to the negative kt. You can put this negative k in front. So derivative of c e to the negative kt is negative ck e to the negative kt. And we have to divide all the numerator by the denominator all to the power of 2. So 1 plus c e to the negative kt to the 2. If we multiply this negative by this negative, we can write the answer as ck e to the negative kt all over 1 plus ck e to the negative kt to the power of 2. This expression shows the rate of spread of the rumor. I hope you like this video, and see you in the next videos.